Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bantamweight Boxing YouTube channel with me, your host Michael Waite. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're enjoying these videos that I'm putting out. It seems like I've got a bit of consistency going, keeping the videos going for longer than a month so far. Well, I think I'm on about 2 weeks, so let's see how far we get, but there's enough boxing for me to keep going. So whilst there's good fights, I will continue to make these videos. And talking of good fights, let's talk about the topic of today, which is going to be Canelo versus John Ryder, which is taking place this Saturday. It's actually kind of snuck up on me, this fight. I had it on my kind of calendar, but realized I hadn't made a video on it yet, so thought I'd do a quick prediction and a quick breakdown. I'm sure a lot of you fight fans will reckon this video should be quite quick with my prediction, and I should just jump to it and say Canelo. But that's not the case. I'm going for John Ryder knockout round 2. Put your bets on now. No, unfortunately, I'm not going to be that indie boxing fan. Although it might get my views up if I did pick John Ryder to take the dub in this one. But I just can't lie to myself, and I've got to be honest. I'm obviously picking Canelo along with 99% of the population. That 1% being John Ryder and his family, I imagine. But yeah, let's break down the fight. Well, let's look at the two fighters. So starting off with Canelo, obviously he is the pound for pound champ right now. He is the number one, the GOAT, if you will. Although his last two performances haven't been of the Canelo-esque. We saw him against Bivol recently, taking his only second loss in his career, but a lot of people, including myself, would say that was quite excusable considering the weight he was fighting at and how talented Bivol himself is. So we can kind of look past that one. It's a bit of a difficult one to analyze because when you're looking at someone who started their career at welterweight, how can you kind of judge them in their performance at light heavyweight? But still, it was the first time in a long time we saw Canelo lose a fight and not look almost godlike in the ring. But his most recent fight, Gennady Golovkin, is probably a better example to draw on, and I think he didn't look amazing in that fight. When that fight was originally made, I was concerned for Triple G's health. I thought Canelo would kill him in the ring. After the second fight, you saw the kind of the start of the decline for Golovkin and the real rise of Canelo. I think that's after that fight is where he really went on probably his best stint, Canelo. So when the third fight was announced, I was saying my prayers, but that wasn't the case. Obviously Canelo won pretty much every round of the 12-round fight, but wasn't able to get Golovkin out of there. And actually towards the end of the fight, at points looked in a bit of not trouble, but was getting caught and was getting clipped and looked a bit lethargic, looked a bit tired in there. So it wasn't, again, it's the two last fights weren't the kind of supreme Canelo we've been getting used to. And it makes you question, or, begs the question, is Canelo kind of on the way out? It's way too harsh to say. Of course, he's nowhere near that. But have we seen the best of Canelo now? He's obviously still going to be at the top for a long time. I imagine for another couple of years or so. We'll definitely see some big fights. But have we seen the best of Canelo? And I think we possibly have. I think that run he went on from after that from the first Triple G fight to, fighting Kovalev, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, that kind of rampage he went on where he was just, putting people in coffins. And, I was excited to see him get in there with Tyson Fury. I thought he was the only man who could probably cause Fury problems in the heavyweight division. But Canelo was just going on a rampage. But kind of since that Bivol fight, we haven't seen the best of Canelo. And I do wonder if you think about it, he's still, how old is he now? Let me just double check that before I start slagging Canelo off and he comes to my house and beats me up. Right, he's 32 years old. So, for a lot of fighters, that is still kind of their prime. And I'm sure for Canelo it is as well. But if you put that in comparison to the fact that he's had, almost 60 professional fights and started his career at 15. He's had some wars in there, and those fights will catch up with you. So I imagine his decline will start earlier than most other kind of professional fighters. But that's a little bit on Canelo. Now let's talk about John Ryder, the guy you all came to the video for. The reason why you clicked on the thumbnail was the GOAT, John Ryder, the real pound for pound. But in all jokes aside, I love John Ryder, and I think a lot of other, especially British fight fans, do as well. He's a bit of a cult hero, really. I think it's because he's just had such an abnormal career. Like, his best win, I would probably say, is Danny Jacobs, and it's one of the few fights that he's won that I actually thought he probably lost. Like, there's so many other fights in his career, like when he fought Callum Smith, a mutual opponent. He lost that fight, and I just couldn't believe it. I remember watching it live, and I was like, I don't know how the judges have scored it in favour for Callum Smith. But he's kind of a bit of an underdog, John Ryder, and someone who, again, the Rocky Fielding fight is another example where he's kind of pretty harshly done by. But just a bit of an underdog. Has always had the odds against him, always fighting on other people's cards, usually getting a bit of a rough decision. But what you do love about him is he's fought everyone there is to fight in the division, never shines away from a fight, always turns up fit and ready. And just stylistically, he's a really enjoyable fighter to watch. At super middleweight, he's not the biggest guy in the division by any means, but his kind of rough and rugged style, where he plants his face on the other man's chest and just swings bombs, that doesn't sound quite right, but his style is what I'm trying to say. It's late, forgive me. Is very entertaining to watch, and it's a bit of a slugger. It's a bit rough and ready, but it does make always for quite entertaining fights. So yeah, I'm really happy for John Ryder that he's got this fight. There's no point sugarcoating it. It will be a massive payday for him. Potentially something which could set him up to, give him enough money to start looking to move away from the sport if he so wishes to. So I'm happy for him in that sense, and he's worked the hard graft and deserves to get a shot at the Golden Goose, Canelo. But yeah, that's the kind of breakdown on the two fighters. I suppose in terms of John Ryder's most recent performances, obviously the one big of note was the Danny Jacobs fight. I didn't actually have him winning that fight. I had him losing that. I thought he came on strong late in the fight. But for most of it, Danny Jacobs was able to kind of jab his head off and keep him at range, and, technically was just a bit better than John Ryder. But anyway, going into how I see this fight going, well, I've said it at the start, I see Canelo winning. I would put money on Canelo knocking him out. I think Canelo is going to be, he's in his hometown. It's Cinco de Mayo. It's, one of the biggest days in Mexico with their boy back in their hometown. There's going to be so much energy in that stadium. There's going to be so many bloodthirsty boxing fans calling for Canelo, their king, to just slaughter John Ryder. So I just can't see any other outcome really than Canelo knocking him out, really. I think Canelo himself has got quite a big point to prove. I think, he's got people, losers like me on the internet, slagging him off for his last two performances. So I think he'll want to go out there and make a statement and show, I'm still Canelo. I'm still the top dog. This is what happens when, I fight these contenders. I knock them out. So yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of pressure on Canelo to get that knockout, which I think he will succeed in. I think it's a very tough task for John Ryder. Saying that, I think John Ryder will by no means be a pushover. I think he will come there to fight. They're both physically quite similar, actually, in height and kind of physical body mass. So it will be interesting to see who can dominate physically in the ring. We know John Ryder's going to try and make it a bit more rough, in the exchanges and up close. But I just think Canelo is equally as strong, and there's not really a kind of, there's not really how am I trying to say this without sounding too rude? There's nothing that John Ryder does better than Canelo. That is what I'm trying to say in the nicest way. I think John Ryder is actually stylistically probably quite nice for Canelo. He's not going to be difficult to find. He's going to come to fight. Canelo is incredibly quick. His upper body movement as well. His ability to kind of dodge, duck, dive, and dip is very impressive. And also as well, if Ryder wants to go physical, Canelo would be fine with that. And I don't see Canelo getting bullied in the ring. Nevertheless, if I was in John Ryder's corner and if I gave him a glimmer of hope, which sadly you might be able to tell I don't, I would be saying to John Ryder, get into that, get to that, well, make it to the ring. Yeah, yes, Michael, that would be a great start. But I would say early in the fight, work the body of Canelo, really, put water in the basement, as they say, really commit to that and try and survive into the later rounds, bring it into the later rounds. And we saw when Gennady Golovkin was able to do that in the last fight, when it got to about rounds 9 to 12, Canelo was gassing, the gas tank is still a problem. He's never really completely got over that. If he can't get you out before the 9th round, he does slow up that 9 to 10 from 9 to 12. So I would say to John Ryder, work the body early, stay in the fight, come on strong at the end, and maybe knock Canelo out, maybe become the unified super middleweight world champion. What a night that would be. Anyway, that's been my video on the fight. Hope you guys enjoyed. Do drop a like and subscribe and let me know, are you backing John Ryder? See you later. Bye.